Hello and welcome to the 49ers First and 10 podcast presented by Cisco. 10 minutes of the most up-to-date 49ers news first thing in the morning. I'm your host, Brianna McDonald, and joining me is 49ers team reporter, Lindsay Polares. The 49ers fell to the Cardinals 24-23. It was a tough loss for the team, a game that they battled through. Lindsay, can you just set the scene for what it was like at Levi Stadium this Sunday?
It was an uncharacteristically, historically hot day at Levi Stadium. Prior to yesterday's kickoff, the hottest kickoff temperature at Levi Stadium was 88 degrees, and that was in 2021, October 3rd. When the 49ers were taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Yesterday, that kickoff temperature very quickly replaced it for a new record high, 95 degrees, but hats off to the faithful. They showed up and showed out as they always do to support their team, and it just didn't work out the way the 49ers had hoped in week 5.
Yeah, let's get into it just a little bit. There was honestly a mix of good, bad, and ugly coming out of this game, but how did it start out for the team on Sunday?
Yeah, the 49ers started off, I guess the whole game really, you could say, was a mixed bag, right? The Cardinals scored on their opening drive off of a 50-yard score from Kyler Murray. So obviously not the way you want to start a game, but they certainly were very quickly able to make up for that error and were able to put up 23 points in that first half. And they were moving the ball well really throughout the game. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get points up in that second half. I do think injuries definitely played a role in the way that the 49ers were able to approach the second half. And that's especially true because of kicker Jake Moody, who actually got hurt on a tackle after a kickoff from an amazing special teams play, a blocked field goal that was returned for a touchdown by Diamador Lenore. So that obviously changes the way that you approach drives, because the option for field goals are kind of taken off the table. We did have Mitch Wishnowsky able to get a field goal from 26 yards out, but those more difficult kicks obviously are taken off the table for the Niners. Then you've got some uncharacteristic turnovers in the second half, and ultimately that leads to a result that you weren't hoping for.
Yeah, the Niners had a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, and it seemed like it went downhill from there. But Shanahan mentioned earlier this morning that there were little mistakes throughout the game that factored into the loss. Lindsay, what's your perspective on the outcome from Sunday?
Yeah, I think it's really easy to zero in on plays that you wish had gone differently, but it is exactly what head coach Kyle Shanahan said. It's little mistakes throughout the game that add up and give you the final result. Like, you cannot put the result of an entire game on any one player or any single play. And I do think that is the mentality of the team. They like to put themselves in a position to be successful, and that happens over the course of a 60-minute game.
The final score and the outcome was not what the team was hoping for. However, there were some highlights coming out of Sunday. What do you think were some of the best moments from Sunday's game?
I thought I mentioned it earlier, that special teams blocked field goal return for a touchdown was certainly a bright spot. And in the moment, a pretty pivotal play, had the Cardinals gone down and scored that field goal, that game would have been tied 13-13, likely headed into the half. Instead, you get Jordan Elliott getting a hand on Chad Ryland's kick, bats the kick, the field goal attempt down, and then you see Diamador Lenore react very quickly, scoop and score 61 yards to the house, and on his birthday. So a really cool play. Can't forget about Brandon Ayuk in this one. Also, just his biggest day of the season thus far, 8 catches for 147 yards. And then a Nick Bosa interception, his first since 2019. So there were certainly a lot of good things that happened. The 49ers needed a few more plays to work the way they had drawn them up in order for this to have ultimately come out in a win.
Yeah, definitely more than a few highlight moments coming out of Sunday. Also, Brock Purdy set a franchise record by becoming the fastest quarterback to reach 50 touchdowns. How did he feel about his performance on Sunday? And then also, what's his outlook on the entire game?
Let's see here. Brock Purdy is a leader that is all about accountability, and I think one thing that's been consistent with him, especially when things don't work out for the Niners, he always says he wants to be the one that improves and plays better. When it comes to the red zone, he says, I've got to just put the ball, let it where it needs to be, let it rip, and have my guys go make a play. So again, just taking his share of accountability in all this, and that's nothing new. We know that Brock Purdy is both an elite quarterback and a great leader. I think collectively the team just wants to play complementary football and make sure that they can get back in the win column.
Yeah, here are some words from quarterback Brock Purdy right after Sunday's game.
The standard here, man, is excellence, and what we've proven in the last couple of years of the standard of what we can play at. Like that's, what we're trying to get to. But man, every year is different with just the team, the chemistry, and getting guys together. You got new keys, some guys leave, and so I think all throughout this, it's early in the season, and we're still trying to find our true identity as a team, and we're getting there. And it's a couple plays away and a couple drives away from gelling and gluing together. But I'm confident that we'll find it. We just got to get into a rhythm and play complementary team football. Got a Thursday night game coming up, so we'll have another chance at it.
After this game, the Niners have a short week ahead of Thursday night football. How is the team going to turn the page and focus on the Seahawks now?
I think in the same way that you have to have a short memory in the game, the 49ers are taking that approach as they head very quickly into another NFC West matchup on the road in Week 6 against the Seattle Seahawks. Several players talked about it post-game. They just have to kind of wipe the slate clean for the week and get their headspace and get focused on the Seattle Seahawks, because that's the game that's immediately in front of them. And we heard from head coach Kyle Shanahan as well, because of the short week, there really isn't going to be much time to review everything that went wrong in Week 5, because the game planning essentially started last night. And that's very much the focus, because you want to get that first NFC West win. You want to get a get-right game, and in Week 6, that is of the utmost importance. Don't expect any full-speed practices this week, especially with that short turnaround.
All right, faithful, we're looking ahead to Week 6 on the road against the Seattle Seahawks on Thursday Night Football now, but that will do it for today's episode. Subscribe to First and 10 presented by Cisco for more 49ers updates, and turn on the notifications for any breaking news, Move the Chains episodes. Thanks for tuning in.